Back to the show. Marc Aflalo, Mitchell, Whitfield with you. This week, Samsung unveiled their latest flagship device, Mitchell. The Galaxy S25, the S25 Plus, and the S25 Ultra. I am so not elated. How are you? How are you feeling about this one?
This one is tough because, first of all, the Galaxy line has always been, the Galaxy phones have always been amazing. I think Samsung has done an incredible job creating a phone that has pretty much what everyone wants and needs. And ... No one, everyone's waiting for the but, right? And I know you're waiting. Don't say it.
You know what? Here's the thing: is I'm not waiting for a but, because
right?
everybody is saying the same thing here.
Yeah.
Which is that this is the same phone as last year. Like,
oh, wait, with a slight spec bump with the camera, and now
correct.
we don't have just two AI assistants. We have three different artificial intelligences all at work together.
Intelligii.
We have three. I was going to go there too. We have three artificial intelligii, which, you know, this if some is good, more is better, more of a good thing, right? But at the end of the day, it's very confusing. It's confusing to me. And we talk about tech for a living. We talk about tech professionally, right here, or semi-pro, however you want to call it. But I mean, it's to have that many AI. What do they have? They have Gemini on there.
Bixby.
They have Bixby. So they have basically proprietary AI assistant from Google, from Android, from Samsung, and then a third one that's supposed to kind of bring it all together, which begs the question, why not just put them all together under one banner so the user doesn't get confused as to how to use each different version of AI? One will pull for multiple apps on the phone, which I think is Gemini is able to pull.
Yeah,
even I'm confused by this.
Right.
So, I mean, okay. So we have AI is the new hotness allegedly with this phone, right?
Let's rewind for 1 second, okay?
Sure,
Let's just get
that.
the specs out of the way, because for those of you who don't know what was announced as a new flagship device from Samsung, all these devices pretty much start with 128 gigs of storage. There's a small camera bump from 12 megapixel up to 50 for one of the cameras. The edges of the actual bezels are slightly thinner, which makes the screen a little larger.
Right.
They still have the S Pen on the Ultra. Obviously, I mean, that's really kind of it. There's new colors. The Ultra starts at $12.99 US. The S25 Plus is $9.99. The S25 $7.99. So we're all kind of in the same category here.
Correct.
There's a new Gemini button, so a dedicated button for Gemini.
Right.
You get Gemini Live, which is nice, which is obviously the being able to use the camera and talk directly to Gemini. Okay. And the funny part is all the software features that they talked about, some of which are exclusive to this device until Google announces their Pixel.
Correct.
Are all going to be backwards compatible with the previous generation anyway. So that's the details of the hardware. New flagship. Okay, great. But why? Why are we still releasing new phones every year?
Right. So we had this conversation, not to say that we're ahead of the curve. Hold on, I'm going to pat myself on the back. Even with two bad shoulders, I can do that.
Here we go.
Thank you. Oh, that feels good. Yeah.
I know.
We've been talking about this for years. And I think we started the conversation minimum 5 years ago, maybe 7 years ago, if I remember correctly.
Yeah.
The conversation went like this, Mark. I believe I said to you, I said, look, I know that each company likes to show off and show what they can do year after year. Look what we did to incentivize a purchase, right? But at a certain point, and I said this again, like around 7 years ago, the law of diminishing returns will kick in at a certain point where the upgrades are going to get more and more incremental.
Yeah.
And there'll be less and less of a reason every year to refresh a yearly cycle of new phones, so that a person who has a phone the next year will not go, oh, I have to have this the following year.
And let me put the asterisk, right? The asterisk is hardware, right? Because no doubt that the software is where phones are shining these days, right? So, and the fact that we see clearly here that on the S25, every bit of software is going to work on the S24. They may not make it available just yet, but we've got the power there and the hardware to run it last year. So I understand. Yeah, you want to update things so that you're always ahead of the curve and you can announce new stuff and whatever. But it seems like such a waste of time, energy, money. Like they put on this giant fanfare for an event like this when there's really like no even ancillary devices, Mitchell, here. No new watch. There's some Galaxy Buds, but no tablets.
Look at this hand. Don't look at this hand. Look at what we're doing here, but don't look down here. I will add another asterisk. I don't mean to cut you off. There's another asterisk to add. The other asterisk is, and I had this, not really much of an epiphany as far as epiphanies go. I was like, well, we have to remember also, just because, and I stopped buying, aside from the review stuff that we get sent, I stopped buying personal phones every year. I stopped that a long time ago because I wasn't incentivized enough. I had the epiphany that, wait a minute, they're not making these phones necessarily putting out a new phone, a better phone, having the latest hardware every year for the person who bought last year's phone. They're putting it out for whoever decides to jump into Apple, whoever decides to jump into Android, any of the, whether it's Samsung, whether it's Google's
insert
proprietary
operating
phones,
system here, yeah.
Insert your manufacturer / OS maker here. They're making it for whoever is coming in for the first time will have the newest and the best. Not necessarily who bought it last year. They're putting it out for the person who bought it 2 years ago because they don't know when people bought their last phone. Yeah. So for anybody other than the people that bought it last year, it is going to be a bigger jump. Anyone who waits 2 years, 3 years, 4 years, it will be a bigger jump. It'll be much more than the incremental 1 year spec bump that we're really starting to see now, most prevalent, most recently in this new Samsung Galaxy S25. So they're not necessarily doing it for the person last year. That's my point. They're doing it for the person because they don't know at what point people jumped in, either new people or people that have been waiting 2 or 3 years because everyone is off on their own cycle, right? That's why they come out with something every year, because that way every year there's something new for the person who has been waiting 2, 3, or 4 years. That being said, they want everyone buying a new phone every year, even that person from last year.
Are we just too close to it? So this is why we're kind of being a little bit more over judgy on it?
No, because I like to take. No, I'm not saying that like Mr. Arrogant here. I like to feel that I'm able to take my tech hat off and look at it clinically, looking at it as someone who may be jumping in for the first time. We're looking at it from a distance and saying, let me look at this. Yeah. And put out something new every year. Now, if I was not, and I'm looking at it through the lens of a person who doesn't buy a phone every year, what I want to make sure that when I finally do jump in, I'm getting the newest. Because if I know there's only going to be a spec, let's say they do what we've been asking for years. Put out a new phone every 2 years.
Yeah.
Put a new phone out every 2 years. That way, when it comes out, we're really, now we see a difference because it's more than just a slight spec bump.
And focus on software in the middle. I mean, they're going to do that anyway, right?
That's what Google's been doing anyway for so is Apple. They've been putting out new software all the time and updating their software constantly, which is great. Yeah. Because they put out new hardware so often, they don't have enough time to test everything fully and to debug each piece of hardware and software every year. By the time that happens, there's a new piece of hardware to debug every year and put out fixes for and patches for. You see what I mean? So if they waited every other year, what a great thing that would be. But I'm looking at it not as a tech person. I'm stepping back going, wait, if I'm that person that's already waited 3 years and this is my year to jump in, and this is the year that they're not making a new phone, now do I have to wait 2 years? Do I have to wait for that another year?
I get that. I get that
so it's tough. I mean, it's not necessarily my thinking, but I'm looking at it from another person's point of view, another way of looking at it. You know what I mean?
I completely get that perspective, and I understand it from a certain point of view. Like if you look at Apple, let's compare apples to look at Apple for a second. They're 16 versus their 15. Not much difference, but Apple Intelligence doesn't work the same way on the 15 as the 16, right? So they needed that spec jump to be able to accommodate something.
You needed a 15 Pro in order to jump in.
Correct.
I believe. Okay,
which isn't even available now, right? Now it's all 16s.
Right.
So but on the Samsung side, when we come out with something that we see now and maybe this is what we'll be talking about with Apple next year, right? When a 17 comes out and we're like, but it's already compatible with all this stuff, so we don't care, right?
Right.
But on the Samsung side, it feels like it's almost like why are we even doing this? That being said, I want to focus on some of the things I do like about what was announced. And it really does come down to a lot of the software integrations. And people love the skin that's on Samsung devices. Like, people really gravitate towards it.
It's always been
People,
one of the best. Yeah.
exactly. They've done an incredible. I think other than OnePlus, which I love, and just Android, bare bone vanilla Android, right? I think it's one of the best iterations of Android that we've seen. There's a lot of confusion around the whole hybrid assistant thing. It's confusing. I don't know why they're so stuck on Bixby. Maybe it was because of being burnt in the past by Google. Remember,
Right.
Bixby came out because they were abandoning what Google was doing because they thought they could do it better. But then Google actually kind of leapfrogged them and they brought it back.
Yeah, exactly.
Which is fine. I mean, it happens.
So now you have both. And a third.
But why? Why have both? It really does confuse the waters here. That being said, there was a feature, AI Select is a feature that they brought out, which is, context-aware text and media selection tool, so you can highlight something and get a summary of it.
Right,
yeah,
right.
Which you can create GIFs or GIFs, however you want to pronounce it, from video clips. Cool. You can surface tools depending on the context, like writing tools for text, and things like we've seen Apple do in Apple Intelligence.
Right.
And the things like audio eraser, right? It's that you're able to actually decipher noise, take an audio recording and break it down into the different elements that it hears and be able to remove background noises like
which is
wind.
something that a pro engineer like yourself
which is cool.
or engineer could only do in a studio, removing different levels of audio.
Yeah.
That's actually pretty cool on a consumer level to be able to do that. Yes.
Those are cool things, as well as some of the offline AI things. But then a lot of it is catch up, right? Like improved camera AI, like erasing stuff. Like, okay, we've had that. AI powered lock screen customization. Okay. So there's stuff to like, but not stuff that drives me to buy the new hardware because of the S24. I will have it. So I am looking forward to playing with it to see those different experiences. And I always look forward to the software updates that come.
Yeah, me too.
Because they are exciting. But I'm kind of with you, even with that bird's eye view. I think that every year now is a little bit of a kind of...
It's a little much.
Maybe do what Apple's doing and do like a video release. Like, you don't need to invite people to an event and spend all that money. Listen, you got the money, spend it, I guess, if you want to. But I don't think you need to do that. I don't think you need to do that anymore. I think you can just put out a press release, maybe have an announcement that's pre-recorded online, and get it in people's hands to experience what's different. I don't think you need to go through the fanfare anymore.
And think about the person power that it takes, the dedicated team that you have, and the pressure on that team from a hardware side. And let's take Apple as an example. And, admittedly, I mean, their stuff has not been innovating as much as it has been iterating and making existing tech that has come out better when Apple does it. But that's been their MO for a long time now. Imagine there wasn't that pressure. And I'm using Apple as an example, but this applies to, Google itself. It applies to Samsung, any of the, OnePlus, any of the manufacturers out there, right? Imagine there wasn't that pressure to have a yearly upgrade cycle or yearly update of the phone, putting out a new phone every year. Imagine that pressure wasn't there. Not to say that team would go away, but imagine the hours that could be dedicated to other areas of the business. Like for Apple especially, who is not just, even though mobile drives their business now, mobile and services does drive their business. But imagine stuff that we see that, hey, that hasn't had an update in 5 years. What's up with that? Or that hasn't had an update in 3 years. What's happening? Imagine the resources that could be put to giving other items that do need a refresh. And I'm not talking a yearly refresh. I mean stuff that hasn't been updated in several years. Imagine the resources that could be put in other areas if there wasn't that pressure. A lot of them they put on themselves to compete, to make sure. What if all these companies just agree this? And look, we're not trying to, let's all come to an agreement so nobody is trying to pull the rug out from the other one. So, hey,
this is likely.
We're just joking. We're putting out a new phone. Screw you. Imagine they all just agreed. We're going to go to every year. We're going to go to every year. We're going to go to every other year. We're going to skip it. Imagine how that would be for the consumer. First of all, take away the pressure from us to worry about getting a new device every year. And oh my God, what are we getting? And what it would do on the production side for these companies allocating resources elsewhere, at least partially. So, I mean, I think there's a lot to be said for, waiting. I know I do. And it means a lot more to me when I get a new phone now. It isn't just like, oh, look, this button now vibrates more when I push it than it did last year. Woo! Yay! I I skipped the whole 15 cycle, went to the 16. I was thrilled. I have USB-C now, which I would have had if I that was a big jump for me. Now we're lightning free family. I immediately got the new my wireless keyboard and trackpad, which were perfectly fine.
The second
I had to get rid of them because they had lightning, and I want to know part of the lightning lifestyle anymore. I know.
But have you thrown out all the lightning cables just out of curiosity, or are they still there just in case?
No, because we still have animals that come over that still use them, so that might still need them. The animals that still. I'm kidding. No, I'm teasing. We still have friends that might have an older device that has a lightning cable, so I want to be able to say, oh yeah, you can plug in here. Silly lightning life. But yeah, I still keep them for other people, but not for myself. We're done. We're done with that life. But yeah, I'd like to see that. I'd like to really see that change, Mark. I'd like to not have the pressure on the consumer or the companies to have that come out every year. And I think they'd see huge results. We see sales dwindling as it is.
Yeah,
we see, Apple sales for phones. Of course, you're putting something out every year at a certain point. I mean, think of Steve. I'm going to end with this. I'm going to end my rant with this. Remember Steve Jobs' original keynote? The great thing about putting out a device with a screen, buttons, functionality buttons can change. You have to rebuild a phone to change the buttons.
Yeah.
But a screen, you can just change the software. Now you have new functionality. He was a prophet back then about this. We could do the same thing now. Like you said, refresh and update with the software, which they do anyway. You don't need the pressure to come up with a new husk, a new hull, a new body for the phone every year. Not necessarily.
That being said, we seem to be on this now uphill battle where we're now getting buttons back on our phones.
I know.
We're adding new buttons every year. I don't understand it.
How often do you accidentally press this button when you're picking up the phone?
The camera control button?
The camera control button, which is a pain in the ass. I always accidentally hit it when I pick it up. And it snaps. But now they fixed it so can't accidentally take a picture.
Yeah, I do. Yeah. How often do you actually use it for what it's meant for?
Never.
Yeah.
I've never used it.
Yeah.
Great that it's there.
For another day, but it's there. Listen, we're looking forward to getting our hands on the S24 and actually, going hands-on.
25
really sets it apart. Sorry, S25.
Yeah,
same thing.
I was going to say, what's the difference? Not much. Go ahead. Yeah. Samsung is like pulling their phones away from us. Yeah.
Let's take a quick break and we'll come back here on Your Tech Report.